Hello and welcome to Talking TSM, the Game House's talk show about TSM's LCS team. I am excited for this week because we have one of my favorite guests of all time on. CodySun is joining me. Cody, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
Oh, no problem, no problem. For those of you who don't know, Cody came on the show about a year ago after he got signed with TSM, and so I like to try to talk to Cody about once a year, at a minimum. He's always a really great interview, and I think just a good discussion in general. And I know that we've got a lot to discuss because it's been an interesting year. So I would say we just kind of jump right into it. I know it wasn't maybe the ending that you guys were hoping for. This year on TSM Academy, but I wanted to know kind of just how did you feel overall that this year went? Not just for the team, but also for you.
Uh, sure. I'll say like this is my first time joining a really a really big org with a lot of legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much every other team I joined is either just new or starting off in the LCS, or maybe they've been in the LCS for like 1 year or so.
Mm-hmm.
But TSM has always been pretty much the best, the most consistent team in LCS history, and even joining their academy team, there is a lot of pressure and intensity that comes with playing in such an established org. So, and pressure has never been like a thing that affects me too much,
Yeah.
usually. So, I was pretty used to it, and I just pretty much tried my best to um, make sure that I can perform, um, at a high level and consistently, as well as um, just trying to help the rookies on the team, and um, meshing with what our coach wants the team um, to play out, basically.
Okay. Yeah, and so I mean, I'm sure it was a little different to be like the full on mentor type role, even right? Because you had your son down there with you, this season, and so I'm sure you and Hanser kind of took on that role as like the veteran presence for
Yeah.
that team, right? I'm sure because it was you guys and a bunch of youngins.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting because the thing with having two veterans on the team, right? Yeah, I think it is pretty good for the team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the only thing that sucks was that we're literally on the opposite side of the map. So it
Yeah.
it it was like a little difficult for us to like interact too much in the game,
Yeah.
and I think that was definitely like one of the um difficulties that we ran into, is that we're just on the opposite side of the map, so it's just pretty hard to play with each other most
Yeah.
of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine. It was probably pretty different because like you said, most of the teams that you've come on, even in the past, right? Like a lot of the times, I felt like you were the newer player, right? So I feel like this
Hmm.
was kind of a bit of a swap for you, and you know, I'm curious to know. I know, you know, your ambitions were probably not for academy when you came in, but I thought you had a great season. Honestly, I mean, do you feel
Thank you.
like this was a really a good opportunity for you maybe to kind of I don't know, grow in a different way than what you had in the past?
Um, yeah, I would say so. I think, like I said, this is the first time I'm joining such a well-established and great organization, and with that, it comes with not only the pressure and intensity, but also the amount of resources that the team was able to provide.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was in-game knowledge or communication or how the team should play together, or even outside of the game. TSM puts a really big focus on um, your health as a player and maintaining a good schedule and a routine. And so I really did see the values um, that they showed. Whether it was Academy or LCS. It was definitely a lot stricter in the LCS.
Mm-hmm.
Their schedule was way stricter than us, and um, they consistently exercised the team and just pretty much spent every moment they had with each other, after scrims or before scrims. So I really think I learned a lot in terms of how a successful team should be run, as well as in-game stuff. I mean, I learned a bunch of things from Hanser, as well as our coach Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are gonna be some of my biggest takeaways, as well as um I also do feel like even though I have been playing in academy for a year, and maybe the competition um isn't as what's that word,
Maybe experienced.
yeah, I want to say the games are a bit more out of control, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There's a lot less
It's
organization.
yeah, either maybe maybe the league, the academy players are just taking a lot more risks,
Mm-hmm.
and that's good. And you know, the games may be a little bit more chaotic or random, and I think it's just a different play style, and there's different difficulties, as well as things that might be easier
Mm-hmm.
um when compared to LCS. So I think in a sense I did still grow and still um get better in the certain areas that my coach told me to work on, as well as areas that I thought I could have improved at. And so I think the whole year, thinking back, I don't think it's um too bad of a year for me, individually at least.
Nah, absolutely. And with that, I think the team saw that too. I mean, you were clearly the sixth man, right? Because you were there for playoffs both times, if I remember seeing that correctly, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, how does that work? Because I'm sure that's a bit of a different experience for you. Getting kind of that call up in a sense. Did things change pretty drastically for you? Did you get a lot of scrim time with the main team? How does that kind of work for a player in your situation?
Um. So the position that like Hanser and I took from the beginning, like of the team, like being like for us to join the academy program, it's pretty obvious that we're just kind of there to um like fill in, almost like an insurance policy where it's like
Yeah.
we're there just in case the LCS main roster doesn't perform, and they might need like a different perspective on the game or just a change up
And
basically. So
and they made that clear to you when you were signing too, because this was something I wanted to ask you about too. Like, was that pretty clear when they talked to you about signing?
yeah, it was like it was pretty clear that like um that we at least for me, that if I was to perform really well in academy and showcase my strengths and potential as a player, then possibly I would get a tryout for LCS, depending on if the LCS roster you know how well they do, of course, because
Mm-hmm.
if you have a really cohesive and really insane LCS roster that just keeps on performing, I don't really see a point to make any moves to it. Don't break something that's not broken, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So so yeah, I mean, um that was basically my role, was to just show up every single day with as much energy that I have and focus, and just try my best in the situation that I was giving in, and just see from there. I think even though I was in academy, um, I was surrounded with still like pretty experienced, like people, because Hanser has been uh like I think two-time LCS champion,
Mm-hmm.
playing LCS for a long time, as well as Peter has coached for numerous LCS teams, as well as academy teams. So pretty much within the three of us, we had like enough experience and knowledge to um, at least like tell tell the rest of the players on the team like how the game like should be played, and how we can play as a team and communicate and do draft, all that jazz. So um, it felt good um, working with people that weren't just entirely like rookies, basically.
No, absolutely. I'm sure it did. And that kind of makes me wonder, once your playing days are done, years down the road, was this kind of almost like a pseudo test for yourself maybe as a potential coach? Is that like something now, seeing it in this lens, right, where you're the vet, you're teaching them how to do stuff, and what veterans, what that veteran knowledge is. I mean, you've played many splits in the LCS, so I'm sure that all that knowledge, even in some things that you don't, that you may not think about now, but like, when some new player comes up, you'll see them make some stupid mistake, and you'll be like, wait, what you doing? Like, is this now like potentially a path that you would consider?
Um, yeah, I would say so. It's definitely something that I've considered, and that I've taken the time to talk to other people
Mm-hmm.
um about like that kind of potential route. Um, and what I will say is that like I honestly like this year, like I had like high hopes that I would get um maybe like a trial or some sort of chance to like prove myself for
Mm-hmm.
LCS. But those things are outside of my control, and I can only like do the best that I can with what I have, and so um I really did consider like if I should just do coaching instead, because even like not talking about just like my situation, like the whole pro scene, being affected by COVID, it really
Yeah.
sucks that like there's no um fans to watch you play and give you that experience. Because when I first started out, I strictly remember that like the experience of playing on stage, under the lights with the cameras and the fans there, it's a completely different experience than playing online.
Yeah.
And so it's just impossible to replicate that kind of experience, post COVID era. And it just really sucks. And just, oh, hello?
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're
Oh,
still good.
sorry.
No, you're
My
good.
my desktop turned off for
No,
some
no,
reason.
no, no, no. You're good. You're
Yeah.
good. No. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, like coaching is definitely something I really considered, and after the season was over, I had my 1v1 with Peter, and I was just being completely honest with them, like I really appreciate how much work you put in this year for coaching me and the rest of the team. I think I still improved even though I played in academy, and he agreed with that. He told me that he was surprised, you know, of my rate of improvement. Like maybe it wasn't like too much, but he told me that he still saw potential in me, and that I could improve even in academy. Um, and yeah, I just told him basically like since the beginning of my career, the only reason I wanted to be a pro player was because I believed that I had a chance to be the best in my position, as well as win a championship for LCS, and finally go to an international event, being the first seed.
Yeah.
It's always something that I really wanted, and um, it's the only reason I'm still here. Basically, is because I believe that I still have what it takes, and that um, every single year um, that I've worked for and played for, that it's all being it's all being gathered up and collected, and um, I'm organizing everything that I have, and um, using it for my next chance, or my next position. And I asked him like if maybe that's just something that's not realistic anymore, and that I should just consider coaching, um and being the really you know uh like Chinese American coach that Peter is. um he just gave me a lecture about how you know there's no backing down in life, and in esports, right?
Yeah.
He just told me that, almost like my dad lecturing me, because I have a pretty like traditional Chinese parents as well, and yeah, so he told me his story about how, at one point, even after coaching LCS, he couldn't even like find a find a job for academy, and he had to coach collegiate for a while, and then eventually he ended up just being a coach for TSM, and they really value Peter, and
Oh yeah.
um, I think it's definitely deserved. And so he told me that like if if he thought that I should just retire and become a coach, he would tell me that like a lot earlier into the season. And he said that I could still easily compete in LCS, and I have the skill or the talent to do so, and I just have to keep trying and just um keep doing what I can and just get better. So yeah, I think I'm gonna just keep trying and see what happens. It's impossible to know what the future will hold.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to give up just yet, so
Well, I definitely don't think you should. I
I
mean,
want to keep trying to grow as a player and as a person. Just go from there.
it sounds like that you learned a lot, and I think that this happens in sports and esports a lot, where somebody goes down to a level that maybe they weren't hoping to be at, but then they learn a lot and they come back even stronger. I could see that very easily being your story this coming year, because I got at least three teams in my mind right now in the LCS that should be knocking at your door, if you ask me. But I really appreciate that perspective too, because I know it's probably not something easy to talk about, but it's good to know that not only that you have a good backup plan, because again, you're a very cerebral player too. I think it's very clear, that you use, your mind as much as you use your mechanics. And I think that that's something that is a great sign in a coach. And I think one day, like I said, when you do coach, hopefully years down the road, um, I think that this will be an experience, hopefully that you can use to help younger players. And I guess like, with that, I gotta ask the question that everybody always wants to know. Do you think NA talent is starting to get better? With this amateur system, you played against a lot of these guys, in proving grounds. Like, I guess this is a two-parter. Do you think that the players are getting better? And do you think that the way that this system is set up, being in it this first year, that it's going to help produce talent? Because from your perspective, you came up, and without a system like this and had to prove yourself. So, what are your thoughts on proving grounds and the talent that it's going to potentially produce?
Um, yeah, I think obviously I came up during a different era and
Mm-hmm.
a different system, and I would say there's like pros and cons to how it was back then, as well as like how it is now. And I think in terms of the competition in academy, I do think that the playing field is definitely um leveling up and evening out in terms of like the player like skill and game sense, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I think because the academy system allowed academy players to watch the LCS team scrims, listening to what they have to say, have have that connection with the LCS environment definitely helped players to have higher understanding of the competitive like game meta, where it's very different because you know you don't want to like make mistakes. You don't want to um be the reason that your team loses, but as well as try to like make really smart and good plays to get your team ahead. So I think over the years for um players that are in the academy program for maybe 1 or 2 years or like 2 or 3 years, like I have one good example is like I think Prismo improved like a ton from
Mm-hmm.
when I first met him, and I think I first met him in 100 Thieves Academy,
Yeah.
like and I thought he actually improved a lot from playing against him this year. And there's a lot of other players as well. Um, but I mean, the only thing I would say to anyone that's like really trying to either make LCS or compete, at a level internationally, it's just basically it's just about discipline. Like it's just about focusing and holding on to your strengths and your weaknesses, and just practicing it over and over till you believe that you have it really down consistently, where no matter who it is you're playing against, or whether you think they're really really good, or you think they're maybe not as good as you, um but the discipline to like play correctly according to what you believe the lane or the matchup or the game should be played. um Making sure that like the focus is on yourself to be disciplined and to play well. I think that should always be the focus for you know players really trying to get onto the next level, and of course that's also my focus as well.
Absolutely. And I mean that makes a lot of sense. And I hope that there are some potential prospects and stuff listening to this, because I mean it's a lot of good good wisdom, I would say there. And I'd have to imagine that after all these years in the LCS and even in Academy, that you are probably feeling like you've got a grasp on what you need to improve on. And so I'd love to know what is the next step for you? Like, what is the next step in your development, and when you look at your game and you're like, okay, this is what I need to do.
um for myself, I think looking back looking back in through my career, as well as just this year, um I guess my biggest strengths is like just positioning really well and doing a lot of damage in team fights and just playing late game situations extremely well. Which it's always been something on my mind, but not something that I've, like, I guess, clinged on to.
Yeah.
Because I'll, like, even in the beginning, right? I've always cared about like my laning phase and um you know playing to get as much of an advantage as I can early game and being as aggressively as I can in the game. Um, but I think like throughout the years, whether it was just competitive experience or um, whatever the case is, I definitely do think I've developed a play style for myself to just be really consistent and strong to play out the late game situations really well. So for me, I want to focus on those strengths to make sure that even in solo queue or whatever level of play that I'm at, that I'm able to consistently produce and showcase my strengths as a player. Whether solo queue or academy, LCS, internationally, I want to be satisfied with the game that I played after the game is over. And so um with that, I think um communication has sort of been my weakness as a player because um I usually don't try to communicate, like, over communicate,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that can be really detrimental to a team when a player over communicates and like puts a spotlight on themselves unnecessarily when the game is very, like, it's very big and
Yeah.
there's 5 players on a team, so it's impossible for one player to understand what's going on in the whole map, like 24/7 in the game, right?
Yeah.
So especially when you have to focus on your own lane and your own position. And so um I've always believed that the team should always come first, and I've always put my team first, whether it was, whether it's at the end like I'm carrying the team, or if um I'm playing weak side and playing a top side. I've I've always believed that it's extremely important to be flexible in the game and understanding of what your teammates are trying to do and playing accordingly. So for me, even though that's like my philosophy on the game, I still need to work on communicating about um, more opportunities around the bot lane and around um, my position and what I need to succeed, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Because as good as of a thing to be able to be flexible and play to succeed alongside your teammates, um, it can quickly turn into um, like something that's not helpful, because if you're just purely relying on your teammates playing to maximize, what they can get on the map, if you're getting like um isolated, or like the other team is like, attacking you um with numbers advantage, and you're not able to like defend the lane, or the tower, or like, or not, or like not be able to call plays of your own. I think that could turn bad for the team as well. So it's really just a balance of like making sure that I'm able to consistently perform, as well as communicate um, my own opportunities without disturbing like the whole ecosystem, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard when you're being a selfless player in a game that and that sometimes has people that are selfish. So I think
Yeah.
that's really good perspective to have, man. Honestly, like it's so crazy to me because I really obviously as a gold level 80 carry, myself, I understand what
Hmm.
you're talking about. No, I'm just kidding. I try to take all the resources. I'm terrible in solo queue for that. So I think that's I think it's a really cool thing, especially for an 80 carry specifically. I mean, it's literally in the name of the position that you have, right? And
Yeah.
being I think that player that's that plays for the team. I think a lot is something that I've always seen in you, and I saw a couple times this year where it seemed like you kind of called for like, hey guys, this is my chance, this is my time, right? I know we didn't really have comms from your guys' games, but God, I think it was there was like a Callista performance where you went off for like 12 kills or something like that during Proving Grounds, I think, and I just sat there and I was like, yeah, this is a Cody game right here. like I'm guessing that was probably like one of your moments because I remember watching in the past, I'm like, man, he's got such a huge advantage. Like, why are they not playing around him more?
Hmm.
And I'm sure that has to do with that, and I think that I think it's really cool to have that introspective. Again, I think kind of harkening back to what you've been learning this year. So I love that for you. Honestly, it's pretty cool to hear. And I guess kind of going into that, I did want to hear a little bit about your son specifically. What were like, what was it like playing with him? He was somebody who not pretty much any of us expected to be on TSM at all. And yet he comes over and plays with you, and he seemed to be play pretty well. I mean, what was like the communication like there? Was what did you see in a player like him?
I think for your son, he's still like a like pretty young guy. I think he's like 19,
Yeah,
and um, I think your son really exemplifies like the new like inexperienced player that um maybe I once was as well, where you're kind of just really tunneled on like what like you you can do with your champion, right?
yeah,
So for example, like if he sees like a really insane three-man engage, or really good fight to take, he'll be really loud, and like he'll just go for it and be really decisive. And I
mm-hmm.
think that's definitely his biggest strength as a player, is like finding the angles for um a really good engage for the start of a team fight.
Yeah,
and like some of the stuff that he lacks is like obviously like just like map movements and knowing where to go,
yeah,
put vision down, like the tempo of the team or the enemy team, and like where he can sneak vision or make a quick play.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that that just comes with experience and comes with um, you know, listening to your coach and reviewing your game from that sort of tempo perspective. And I believe he has made improvements in that area, and that given time that he'll. And he definitely has like the passion for the game, so I definitely think he'll grow into pretty a solid player. So um, yeah, I'm pretty happy with playing with Bjergsen this year.
I mean, that's great to hear, and I'm sure if he listens to this, he'll probably be pretty pumped to hear, his guy talking about him like that. So, I'm gonna shift gears a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about Worlds. All right, and I want to talk about the LCS because for the longest time it's been LCS can't perform, all that stuff. One of your former teams goes out, wins the LCS. They look pretty strong in 100 Thieves. TL seemingly, kind of came back from their struggles, and C9 has that ceiling that I think we all see as could be, exponentially good. I want to know, like, just from your perspective as a player right now, do you think that the LCS as a whole has a better chance this year at Worlds than it has in the past?
So I mean,
Uh-oh.
with worlds talk and like us as a region, like I think I think the players that have been playing, at least let's talk about like NA players. I think NA pro players that have been playing for a long time, whether it's in LCS or like went to Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the truth is like there's just there's just a lot of reasons why like NA as a region compared to other regions is held back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's solo queue or whatever the case might be. Probably ping difference is the biggest one, but it's not the only one.
Wait, which difference? Sorry.
The solo queue ping
Really?
difference.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta
But
get.
I mean, there's like so many different factors.
Yeah.
What I will say is like, I think the times that NA has done well, and if we go back and see, it's like we we popped off that one time in MSI like
Yeah.
5 years ago,
Yep.
where we got second place playing Enchanters
Yeah.
and Six A popping off. That was good times.
Those were good times.
I remember. I remember. I think I was in Challenger back then. I was watching Six A play so well and thinking to myself, if this guy could do it, um, I could do it too. And that our region has more to show, um, internationally than what we've shown in the past. And I think that is still true because um, that MSI pop off performance for us wasn't the only one. There's another case where Sneaky on C9,
Mm-hmm.
led the team to semifinals and having a clean best of five victory over Africa.
Yep. That was huge.
And so yeah, like thing with us as is like a region is that we're always going to be underdogs because you have any insane import come to our region, play for a year, 2 years, and they realize like how how difficult it is to maintain their like level of play, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, it is what we have to work with, and it sucks, but I do think the talent is there. Like when 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 I went to compete internationally, there are certain times where laning phase was just impossible to play and you just get stomped.
Hmm.
And there are certain times where um play the game even all the way to like 20 minutes and play the team game from there. And so um I don't think, you know, us as a region should lose hope. I don't think we should ever lose hope actually. And that it all comes down to like your mentality and like how confident you are because I'm pretty sure like every time that NA has done well internationally, like the two maybe anomalies that I've pointed out over the years of competing internationally, those times, um, those players as well as coaching staff, they didn't see themselves as like a step below their competition. Basically, like they saw themselves as um equals and competing in the same event. So I think that's an extremely like important thing to remember going into these competitions that may seem really hard and like just out of your favor, I guess. Like they have the advantage like because of their region or because like their mechanics or whatever the case is. You just can't have a loser's mentality. So I think for us, there's always a chance that we can pop off, have an insane run in every international event we join in. But it just comes down to maybe the luck, um maybe your mentality. I mean, I know for a fact that the scrims aren't going to be easy. every every time, yeah, every time, if you're used to like just winning a lot of scrims and just like shit stomping your region,
Hmm.
it's probably going to be the opposite when you go into an international event. And so, that's not going to be there for you like most of the time, but there are some times where you can, win scrims against top teams as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely believe that mentality and confidence and like just being um having a winner's mentality, regardless if the scrim records or whatever, like the scrim records don't show it when it's time to play. Um, you got to be like fully in it, right, to win it. So, uh, honestly, like best of luck to every single player, team, and coach that's going to be competing for the upcoming worlds because um, the whole world is watching. There's a lot of pressure, and it's not easy, but there's still there's still that chance. There's still hope. So hopefully all the teams can do as well as they can and just play with no regrets. Basically,
So
it's a great opportunity.
So what you're saying is I need to go get my my hopium tank, and get that mask on, and go go throw some money down on the LCS to win worlds, right? Obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, thing is, like, in the past, I've always sort of like been a little embarrassed going into these international events
Mm-hmm.
because like yeah, like no, people don't like you can ask other players from other regions, right? But they don't think they don't see you as like competition, right?
Yeah.
Like especially like LPL or Korean players or teams, like when they see an NA team like walk past them, like they really don't think you're gonna do much to them, I guess. And sometimes they'll laugh at you, and like there's a funny story actually where
Oh God.
um I'm just gonna say it, right?
Yeah.
Because
No. Go
whatever.
ahead. Yeah.
I was on 100 Thieves. I was on 100 Thieves, and it was the year that I was subbed out, and
Rakara, right?
yeah, Ricardo was there and
Yeah.
playing. Um, and I was cheering him on from the sidelines, right? And basically, it was like I think after the game against IG,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was actually kind of close because um and the jungler at the time actually had a really great early game plan and
Mm-hmm.
tracked Ning for like the whole early game,
Oh, I kind of
and it
remember
was
this. Yeah.
yeah, I was and like we had like a early game lead that game, but like for one reason or the other, like we ended up losing it, and like there might have been a team fight where we like killed two people and it was a 5v3, and we took the next fight with a 5v3 advantage and we lost that fight. And so like I remember after the game, um I forgot who it was, but like the IG players were just making fun of us in Chinese,
Oh
saying that like
God.
they only need three players to
Oh
to,
no.
to like win against us, right? And
Oh God.
I was like, ah, shit, like I don't think they know I understand what they're saying because, but I didn't really respond, I was just like, I mean, yeah, like we got 5v3, it just blows.
Did you say anything to the
No,
team?
I didn't say anything. I was just like, I was just keeping quiet and like,
Oh no.
and just laughing at the situation because no one else could understand on my team what they're saying, and they're just like they're just mocking us basically a little bit. But it's all fun and games,
Oh
and
yeah.
and like and basically I think it's like if other regions are gonna underestimate us, just like how maybe we underestimate wildcard regions or regions that we perceive lower than us in terms of like gameplay, right?
Mm-hmm.
We like we've lost to those regions before.
Oh yeah.
like, like we got either like surprise attack by you know like VCS, the V2B's teams,
Yep.
or we've lost games to like OPO or or like whatever like wildcard region. We've lost games to them, so it definitely means that like we can also win games off of top teams, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In the end, we're all humans and like people make mistakes, so I think just try really hard to catch those moments when you know those top teams slip up and you have the game in your hands, and like everyone should know how to win games. You know, like that's how you got to Worlds, is like you were able to snowball lead consistently from a winning position, and that doesn't change when you play internationally. So yeah, I really hope that maybe this year that we'll see uh another team, or like, two teams just really popping off, making an insane run. I think that'll be great to see, and it'll give a lot of motivation to the entire region and the player base.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree, and no, I appreciate that perspective too. And that story is absolutely hilarious. I got to be honest with you. That's one I'm gonna have to find a way to share in a different way than just on this show, because that was pretty good. But
Yeah.
I got two more little things here for you, and I appreciate the time that you're taking, man. I gotta ask, before I ask you, kind of your off season plans. I know I had sent you a message about the Bjergsen stuff, and you were like, that's the first I'm hearing about it. Was that a complete shock? I mean, is that like, did you expect that at all? Because I know he was your coach for, a good amount of this year, obviously, when you would come up with a team too. So, I mean,
Hmm.
these rumors, I know it's not confirmed, but I'm a little. I think all TSM fans are a little surprised. I would assume the whole world is still a little surprised by this one.
Yeah, I mean, it came to me, just the same way as how everyone else heard about it, just on the internet.
Yeah.
And so, um, uh, yeah, I mean, it's great to hear. He's a player that has, yeah, like one of, if not the largest legacies in NA, and I think um he's still, just as good and just as like fearsome as he ever was. So um I think it'll be great to see him competing again, and um it's pretty cool that he became a coach for a year, because like I said, like when you're a player and you just like solely focused on improving yourself and how you can benefit the team like individually,
Yeah.
it's just a completely different game when you're a coach. So I think he I think the time off that he took to see the game holistically is definitely going to help him, lead the next time he's on the team, because all the best leaders um of the game is able to, make calls not only for themselves but for the whole game. So, and I think, yeah, he was a really like well respected and like honestly pretty successful coach as well, because
Oh yeah.
um like I think we were like first place in regular season, right, going into summer playoffs.
Hmm.
So, and like regular season like um stats is usually like, I mean, like the coach usually has more like power in that sort of sense in like regular season games, I believe. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
I
that's
think
great to
he's
hear.
gonna. Yeah, I think he's gonna do. Hopefully he does really well when he comes back.
Yeah, I hope so too, and I think that that's really, that's good to hear. I think you I think man, I'm telling you what, like it feels almost night and day difference from when we talked last year. Even like just like the way that you're thinking about the game even has been. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but it feels to me even like it's changed a lot, which I love seeing for you. So I'm just the last thing here is what are the off-season plans for Cody? What are you working on? What are you doing? You hanging out a little bit? I'm assuming that you're already home with family.
I'm not actually home with family yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm still, yeah, I'm still taking care of business here in LA. But
Ooh,
uh,
ooh, taking care of business. You in talks already, my dude? Huh?
oh, no, not
Not yet.
really.
I didn't think so. I was like,
But
nothing's really going
I am
on,
open.
but
Yeah, yeah, nothing's really going on yet. But yeah, just I have my own apartment here, and it's been pretty good. So
good.
just gonna enjoy my break and watch the World's games, play solo queue when I can. Um, um, and yeah, I mean every off season I've always like uh tried really really hard towards the end of the season to climb to like a high position on the ladder because for some reason it's not as easy for me to climb during the season these days. So
That makes sense.
uh yeah, but you know it's gonna be good. I think like I guess one reason that I always have to climb is like I'm always switching teams every single year.
You're not the only
So yeah,
one. The LCS has
gotta get
that
my
problem, man.
yeah, true. So gotta get my resume, looking better.
Hey, man.
uh
You got a supporter here. I'll go to
yeah,
bat. You tell
thank
you
you.
tell those coaches, come talk to me. They won't care about it, but I'll tell them anyways.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean,
Yeah.
hell, it's the
But
least I can do. Well, awesome, man. I seriously can't thank you enough for being on this again, and just being a great interview for TGH every time. We really love having you on here, and maybe maybe if the coaching thing doesn't work out one day, maybe an analyst position, at a media company could be there for
it's
you, dude.
something.
Hey, we'll talk. We'll talk.
Thank you. Yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
you got any last things you want to say to your fans and to the TSM fans before you head out?
sure. For all the TSM fans, like thank you for supporting me as well as the academy team. I've always, since the first day I joined the org, I've felt extremely welcome um to the TSM team and the system um and all the fans like showing me love on social media as well as when I stream. I don't stream that much, but the times that I do stream, you guys are there, and I've definitely felt really appreciated and um, glad to be there. And it's unfortunate that um, my stay with the team didn't last too long, and like it has to end this way. But uh, I definitely learned a lot and enjoyed my time being here on TSM. So thank you guys for all that support. And for my own fans, uh, it's just been a really long and arduous journey with a lot of ups and downs, highs and lows. So I'm still here. I'm still going strong, mentally and physically. I've started going to the gym a bit more in the off season and connecting with my friends, and I started reading like one book. Hopefully I'll finish it. I don't know if I will because it's hard to finish books
Yeah,
sometimes.
a gamer life.
But yeah, yeah. Just gotta keep grinding and keep looking forward to the future. Um, with every stock that goes on for a long time, there's always a point where you're gonna be able to bounce back and reach a peak that you haven't reached before. And I'm still putting myself in that position to hopefully reach the next peak. So just have to be patient and just gotta keep going. So that's pretty much where I'm at, and yeah, maybe in the next blue moon I'll stream again. I do think it's important that I start working on my brand. It's not too late,
No, not even a
It's
little
definitely
bit.
not too late.
Not
So
even a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah,
Well, thanks again, TSM
yeah.
fans. You heard it here. Go make sure that you follow Cody on Twitter at CodySun, and then on Twitch TV as well. You're a really good player, man. I wish you nothing but the best. I know you and I will talk before then, but having you be a part of TSM was pretty awesome. For even for me personally. So,
Mm.
hopefully it's not total goodbye in terms of TSM. Maybe one day you can make your way back here should everything line up correctly. But other than that, I just wish you luck with the off season. I can't wait to see and hear about where you get your next chance, my guy, because I know you deserve it. So, I really appreciate you being on the show, and with that, I'll take us out of here. If you like this show, please take a second to like, subscribe, and comment. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, make sure you hit that bell icon so you don't miss another episode. Please share this with your friends. You can find me on Twitter at TGHRobertHaynes or the Gamehouse at TGH Esports. And lastly, head to thegamehouse.com. We've got a lot of great LCS and Worlds coverage coming your way. We just released our top 30 players at Worlds. I'm sure Cody would probably laugh at some of them, as most of you will. We invite the flame. Bring it on. There are at least 2 NA players on there. One of them being
Oh, yeah.
Alfari. I got Alfari up there. So
Nice.
that man's good. But yeah,
we got some pretty good players.
I was gonna say. I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
For everybody out there, go give it a look. But with that, thanks for tuning in. The show comes out every Monday during the off season, and it's still exclusively for your TSM ear holes. I'm Robert Haynes, and this has been Talking TSM. See y'all next week.